Okay guys, here is the free project that I mentioned on my Facebook page. So there are a couple of ways that you can do this. Now I am going to be using my Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. It's a pack of 12. This is about $14.97 at the Walmart here in the area where we live. And there are a couple of ways that you can do this. I just directly put the Swan onto the paper this way, and I had to make it dark so it would show up on the camera. Now, for those who want to use watercolor pencils or just plain watercolor, and you don't want this darkness, I'm going to show you real quick how you folks can get this transferred to a piece of watercolor paper or whatever you like to use. But just for this demonstration, the image that I gave you, it's a JPEG image, and you should just be able to right click on that image and then save it to your computer, and then you can make it whatever size you want to. And I am using, this is Neenah cardstock, and it is also at Walmart in the card where the regular copy paper is. They have different varieties of specialty paper. It's right directly across from just the regular copying paper. And my students who come to my classes over at Tri-County, I normally don't work on white paper, but for this demonstration, and because the Swan is white, mostly white, I am going to be using just a plain piece of white paper. Well, I'm out of the pretty blue. I usually used toned paper, and what I mean by that, this is also a cardstock. See, its colors. That green, I do not like that green. That's too bright. But there's a nice yellow. But this is from Walmart. Now this is in the scrapbooking section. I'm out of the blue and the pink. I picked up another pack just today, but they have all kinds of toned cardstock, and that works really good with the Prismacolor pencils. I've even been known to use watercolor pencils very lightly on that cardstock before. But anyway, so if you just want to, print this image out as it is onto a piece of cardstock paper, that is fine. But for those who might like to use this image for something else, like for watercolor or watercolor pencils, and you don't want these harsh black lines in there, like I said, I had to do it like this for this demonstration. I also if you have, now I've got Photoshop and I can reverse images. This is what you would have to do. And I won't go over the whole demonstration, so I can get started with the regular demonstration. Okay, see, you can reverse that image of the swan. Okay, you know, just flip-flop it like this. Then you're going to need some tracing paper. It doesn't matter what kind of tracing paper, and they have recently started selling that tracing paper down there at Walmart. It's not been there for a long time, and I thought they'd quit selling it. But very gently, this is low tacky tape. But just get your image. And with the tracing paper down over top of it, because this is going to be your pattern for those who want to use watercolor, so it can kind of disappear. Now you can use any kind of a pencil for this right here, and I'm trying to outrun the sun. And like I said, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I just wanted to give you a brief demonstration of how you can, you know, put this on a watercolor paper if that's what you're choosing to do. Any kind of pencil will work. It's better just to use a regular HB. This is just a 2HB pencil, but go ahead and kind of put a lot of pressure and just trace. Trace that image. Or if you're feeling kind of frisky and you can draw that swan, go for it. That's how you learn. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Like I said, that's kind of heavy, see? That's kind of heavy. But I'm going to stop right there and show you what to do from this point. And since that's just a copy and I'm not using this, then be very gentle and flip it over onto your work surface, watercolor paper or cardstock or whatever you're going to use. Now, if you don't want to ruin your pattern and you can see what you're doing, you can use a blending tip or the edge of a paintbrush and put some pressure. Oh gosh, that gives me cold chills. I can't stand that. So I'm just going to choose to use this pencil because I don't care if it messes up the pattern since I'm not using it anyway. And if you do it this way, you know, put quite a bit of pressure. You could even use a mechanical pencil for this part right here. But just go over that line so it will transfer to your paper. Let me just do it like this so I can get done quicker. If you actually trace that swan a couple of times, you would be able to, probably after tracing that swan like 4 or 5 times, you'd probably be able to freehand it. Okay, so see, now that put that image off onto the paper, and it's very, very light. It's very, very light. You still, it probably would be the best if you had like a 4H pencil, but if you don't have one of those, and the two, just a regular pencil is all you have, just lightly, you know, if you need it, you know, kind of draw it in a little bit, okay? Okay. I just wanted to show you the transfer process real quick in case you just didn't want to print it off. Okay. Now, this is real simple, and it makes a real beautiful picture. Okay. If you're using the Prismacolor Premier 12 pack, and I will do future projects too, and usually for those, that's what I prefer using. As you can see, I'm using my classrooms because all my classes over at Tri-County, when I have a colored pencil class, I supply the materials for students to use in class, and you don't have to know how to draw to participate in my classes. It's already drawn for you, just like this, and basically I'm just showing you techniques to color it. And I like to use a lot of pressure because I don't like my colored pencils to look like colored pencils. I like my colored pencils to look like paint. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. Now I am going to start with light pressure. I'm using 932. This is violet. And I'm going to turn this colored pencil to the side. I'm going to have to move this out of the way. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to have to move that to the side. And put this color in these areas, but now just give light pressure. When I'm saying light pressure, just very lightly like this. And make sure there's nothing under your picture with these colored pencils, or that whatever's under it will that texture will show up on your artwork. Okay, now so lay it to the side. And two, if that is too dark whenever you print it off, if you have that capability on your printer, you can always lighten and lighten and lighten until you can just see the lines faintly enough that they'll disappear. Okay, but like I said, you know, I had to do it dark so you could see what I was doing. Okay, so take that 932. I'm going to do all the 932 areas first. Okay. So right here under the chin, very lightly, and I like to move in small circles. Okay, very, very lightly. Right there, let's put a little here. And some down through here. Lightly, you can see how light I'm going. Let me see if I can get closer. Whoops, sorry. Okay. This area. Go all the way up through here. See, and I've got it turned to the side, and I'm just really, really light. Okay, let's move up into this area. Just underneath a few of them. See how I'm just that. And See, in that area, I just kind of gave it a little bit of whoo, whoo, like that. Okay, now let's move over here. Put a few. And you don't have to put them exactly where I'm putting mine. It's just purple's my favorite color. Okay. That one. Let's give a little right here. I want that a little right there. Okay. Like I said, you don't have to put as much purple as I do, because we're going to put some other colors in there too. Okay, let's do this area. I'm going to have to turn it to the side, y'all. Follow the flow of the swan. Okay, and let's go under here. Okay, and then let's go under here with the purple. Very lightly. Okay, I'm going to back up just a pinch. Whoops, sorry. Okay, now, so make sure that pencil is pretty sharp. Okay, now, I love this blue. This is 903. It's true blue, and mine is sharp enough. So now I'm going to just use the blue. Lightly turn it to the side. Let's put a little here. I mean, very, very lightly. Very, very, very lightly. There. Let's put a little in here. And you can even, you know, put a few strokes in there that kind of look like feathers or sharp points. Okay. And then right here, let's put a little bit. Now, to be honest with you, the only thing I don't like about that 12 pack is it doesn't have a pink. If you've got they have another pack that they have recently started selling down here that's, I think, has 20 in it, and I wonder if it has a pink in it. But I'm not going to put pink in this, but the color I did use on this other piece was 993, and it is also a Prismacolor Premier. But you might, if you've got a Crayola, you know, color pencil, it's a pink color. If you want to put a little bit of pink in there, it really looks nice. Well, let me just show you real quick. Here is one, and I put a little bit of pink, you know, in the swan too, and it makes it look real nice with those lotus flowers. So if you get frisky enough, you can make those too. Okay, now pick up that 903. Okay, now that was light pressure. Okay, now come here under the swan, and you need to put heavy pressure just right under it. Pretty heavy pressure, and see, that line will start disappearing. heavy underneath, and as you start coming out, and leave some white. Leave some white areas, but dark right underneath the swan. Okay, see how I'm doing? Lightly out here. Like I said, leave some lighter areas. You'll see why in a minute. Just really dark under here. I mean heavy pressure. Sometimes I put such heavy pressure, it breaks my tip of my pencil lid. Now see, we're just giving the illusion that it's on the water. Okay. And if you want to, you know, you can kind of bring it back here. Now if you get frisky, you can use that 909 that's in there and draw you some lily pads on there. Not across the blue, but the outline of it would be dark green. And then you would color the inside of it 912 if you wanted to. You can just experiment. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and come in here with the black. Now listen, be very, very gentle with this. Just over top of the blue, just in a place or two. And right here in the feathers, because this will just give it a little bit of a gray. And we can blend, okay, just in a place or two to kind of give it some dimension. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, now this area, this is solid black, so put a lot of pressure there. Make sure your pencil's sharp. Now if you like yours to look like colored pencil, don't put as much heavy pressure as I do. Okay. Leave a small circle of white in the swan's eye, but if you accidentally cover it all up, if you get a touch of white acrylic and put a dot in there, it looks real nice. A lot of times I do this before I paint something in acrylics. I'm like, ooh, I want to see how this will look, so let me experiment. That solid black right under the nose right there is solid black. I'm putting heavy pressure. Now I use a circular motion and semicircle to follow the shape of it down here. Okay, we are getting close to being done. Okay, now I get 918. This under here, and yes, this is very bright, but it won't be in the minute. Okay, you seen how I done that? That was heavy pressure in those areas. Now just very lightly, like that, because we're going to fix that in a minute. Let's just go ahead and do it now. Get your 941. Make sure it's sharp. And go back over that heavy orange right there, and it'll kind of tone it down a little bit. Just lightly. It'll tone it because it is pretty bright. Okay, now I've got heavy pressure this way underneath that. Be careful, don't run into that blackness, it might smear it. Might have should have done that. I'm just so used to doing it, it doesn't bother me. Okay, now light pressure this way and make it do that. Okay, now I'm going to tone that down a little with that 918, no, excuse me, 941, sorry. And if that still doesn't tone it down enough for you, just keep going over it until it tones down as much as you want it to. Okay, now here comes the part that I like. Get your white. I burn through the white colored pencils like crazy. Okay, now do the feathers first, but heavy pressure everywhere you've got those other color pencils, the blue and the purple. Go over it with heavy pressure and it starts blending it, and it makes it look real like nice pretty shadows and not colored pencils. Heavy pressure. And sometimes I cross hatch, I do it different ways. Be careful right there around the eye. And if that is still, you want to tone that down even more, sometimes you can get white acrylic and kind of water it down a little bit, not too much that it makes your paper ruin. And just go back over it with the light wash. Okay. Do that all in the feathers, and I'm going to jump down into the water because this video is already longer than I expected it to be. Okay, go over the beak. I heard my husband hollering at me. He just got home from work. Okay. Okay, now go over the beak, and if you want to tone it down a little bit, like I said, get you some white acrylic. Okay, now down here in the water, I want you to do that in the water too. Ooh, look how that blends. See, that looks just like paint. That Neenah cardstock is really great. And see, when you get down here, turn it to the side. You better make sure you don't have orange on that, so every time you change colors, you need to wipe that colored pencil off whenever you're blending with it. I do not like the colorless blenders. And you can also use that technique with watercolor. With watercolor pencils, you can even, I don't like to use gray anymore for something that's white, like in the Swan. I hardly ever do that. Okay. See, I'm already burning through that pencil. Ooh, see, that looks really pretty. Okay, and like I said, just experiment with your colored pencils. Don't forget to put your name on there. And like I said, you know, this is just I was just goofing around. You can find all kinds of reference photos and stuff on the internet. Those lotus flowers, whatever colors that you use, like in the Swan, if you'll notice, and you can put some purple down in that water if you want to. This light shade here is under here. It was at 903. Anytime you use a color, if you will put it somewhere else in the picture, it really flows all together. Okay? So, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy that little project. And join me on another time, or over there at Tri-County if anybody's interested in taking some of my color pencil classes. I'll try to have another project real soon. Thanks for watching.